The dry heat of the high desert does not just sit in the air, it presses down on your skin like a physical weight by 2 in the afternoon. When you stand on a patch of dirt in the American Southwest, perhaps somewhere outside of Taos or deep in the Arizona rim country, the silence is total until a gust of wind rattles the dry sagebrush. If you dig your fingers just 3 inches into that pale, dusty soil, you will find it is bone dry, powdery, and hot enough to make your fingertips throb. Water here is not something that falls from the sky on a schedule. It is something you either pay a utility company to pump through a plastic pipe from hundreds of feet below the earth, or it is something you haul yourself in the back of a heavy-duty pickup truck, watching the suspension sag under the weight of a white plastic IBC tote. But there is a third way, a method that relies entirely on physics, sunlight, and a few basic materials you can buy at any local hardware store or salvage from a nearby construction site. It is about turning the extreme temperature swings of the arid landscape from an enemy into an active partner. When the sun finally drops behind the jagged western horizon, the desert performs a dramatic flip. The air temperature can plummet 40 degrees in a matter of hours, moving from a scorching 95 degrees down to a brisk 55 degrees before midnight. This massive thermal shift is where the secret lies, hidden in the invisible moisture suspended in the night air. To capture it, you do not need a massive engineering budget or a crew of contractors. You need a structure designed to exploit basic thermodynamics. Imagine a low-profile pyramid standing no higher than your chest, positioned in the sunniest corner of your backyard homestead. It is built from common materials, standard 2x4 framing lumber, thick sheets of clear polyethylene plastic, dark concrete pavers, and a clean, food-grade 55-gallon steel drum painted matte black. This is not a complex machine with moving parts that can wear out or circuit boards that can fry in the summer heat. It is a passive solar dew collector, a tool designed to harvest pure, clean water from the atmosphere using nothing but the natural cycle of day and night. To understand how this system begins to work, you have to look at the foundation, which is the thermal mass storage bed. You start by clearing a square patch of earth, 6 feet by 6 feet, leveling the ground with a standard iron rake until the gravel and dirt are perfectly flat. On top of this cleared soil, you lay down a thick layer of heavy-duty black landscaping fabric to keep weeds from pushing through, and then you begin stacking heavy, dark gray concrete pavers, the kind that weigh about 20 pounds each and have a rough, coarse texture that scratches your palms as you lift them. You stack these blocks 3 layers deep, creating a solid, dense floor that acts as a thermal sponge. During the long, blazing hours of the afternoon, these blocks absorb the intense solar radiation, growing so hot you cannot leave your bare hand on them for more than a few seconds. They store that heat energy deep within their dense crystalline structure, holding onto it while the rest of the world begins to cool down. Directly in the center of this stone platform sits the heart of the first system, a heavy steel drum, 35 inches tall and 23 inches in diameter, capable of holding exactly 55 gallons of liquid. The exterior of this drum is coated in a thick layer of high-temperature matte black tractor paint, which eliminates any reflection and ensures that every single photon of sunlight hitting its surface is converted directly into heat. Inside this drum is water, acting as the ultimate thermal ballast. Water has an incredible capacity to hold heat, far greater than stone or soil. As the sun beats down through the clear sky, the water inside that black metal cylinder slowly warms up, absorbing BTUs of energy hour after hour. By 5 in the afternoon, the entire core of your pyramid setup is a powerhouse of stored heat, radiating warmth into the immediate air surrounding it. As twilight settles over the property and the first stars begin to appear in the clear desert sky, the second system of the pyramid comes alive. This is the condensation canopy, a 4-sided frame constructed from cheap, sturdy 2x4 pine studs, angled upward at a precise 35-degree slope to form a perfect pyramid shape. This angle is critical. It is steep enough to allow water droplets to slide downward under the influence of gravity, but shallow enough to maximize the surface area exposed to the sky. The frame is wrapped tightly in a single continuous sheet of 6 mil greenhouse plastic, secured to the wood with thin wooden lath strips and short roofing screws. This plastic skin creates an airtight seal, isolating the air inside the pyramid from the outside environment. When the night air drops to its lowest point, around 4 in the morning, a powerful thermodynamic reaction takes place inside the structure. The outer plastic skin of the pyramid, being incredibly thin, cools down almost instantly, matching the chilly ambient temperature of the desert night. However, the heavy concrete pavers and the 55-gallon steel drum inside are still radiating the heat they stored during the day. This creates a massive temperature differential within a very small space. The air inside the pyramid is warm and full of moisture, evaporated from a shallow, open pan of brackish water or damp soil placed at the base of the drum. As this warm, humid air rises and comes into contact with the freezing cold plastic canopy, it reaches its dew point instantly. Tiny microscopic beads of water begin to form on the underside of the clear plastic. They look like a fine mist at first, blurring the silhouette of the black drum inside. As the minutes tick by, these microscopic beads bump into one another, coalescing into larger, heavier droplets that catch the faint light of the moon. Because the plastic is stretched tight and set at that specific 35-degree angle, the droplets do not drip straight down onto the dirt below. Instead, they begin to slide. They travel down the smooth, slick inner surface of the plastic slope, gathering speed and joining with other droplets along the way, forming miniature streams that run toward the outer perimeter of the wooden frame. At the bottom of each of the 4 slopes, running along the inside edge of the 2x4 wood framing, is a split piece of 1-inch schedule 40 PVC pipe, cut in half lengthwise to create a smooth, clean gutter. These gutters are slightly sloped toward one corner of the pyramid. As the streams of pure, condensed water reach the bottom of the plastic canopy, they drop cleanly into these PVC channels. The sound is a faint, steady patter, a rhythmic clicking of water drops hitting plastic in the absolute quiet of the desert pre-dawn. This is water that did not exist in liquid form just a few hours ago. It was harvested directly from the sky, pulled out of thin air by nothing more than the strategic management of heat and cold. From the low corner of the gutter system, a single food-grade vinyl tube carries the steady drip of water out of the pyramid and down into a buried 5-gallon storage bucket, keeping the harvest cool, clean, and completely safe from evaporation. As the first pale light of dawn begins to paint the eastern sky in shades of gray and cold amber, the thermal dynamics of the desert water pyramid shift once again, moving into the 3rd phase of its passive operation. This phase relies on an underground air circulation loop, a system that utilizes the constant temperature of the Earth itself to keep the cycle moving when the sun begins its morning ascent. Beneath the heavy concrete pavers, buried 24 inches into the sandy soil, sits a 20-foot coil of flexible 4-inch perforated drainage pipe, wrapped in a thin layer of woven landscape fabric to prevent fine silt from clogging the line. At this depth, away from the immediate blast of the sun, the Earth maintains a steady temperature of roughly 55 degrees Fahrenheit year-round. This underground pipe network connects directly to the interior of the pyramid through 2 small screened openings in the wooden base frame, one on the north side and one on the south side. When the morning sun strikes the eastern face of the plastic canopy, the air inside the structure heats up rapidly, expanding and creating a natural convective current. The hot, light air rises toward the peak of the pyramid, while the cooler, heavier air near the floor is pushed down into the southern inlet of the buried pipe system. As this warm air travels through the cool underground loop, it drops its temperature significantly, reaching its dew point inside the pipe itself. The moisture condenses against the ridges of the black plastic tube, draining out through the tiny perforations directly into a small, gravel-filled sump pit located at the lowest point of the loop. A simple, hand-operated brass cistern pump, standing 18 inches tall with a heavy cast-iron handle, is piped down into this sump. With just a few steady strokes of the handle, you can draw this subterranean harvest to the surface, filling a tin cup with water that smells faintly of clean earth and slate. The real magic of the desert water pyramid lies in the synergy between these 3 distinct microclimates: the scorching heat of the black steel core, the freezing surface of the plastic canopy, and the steady insulated chill of the underground loop. They work together like a mechanical engine, but without a single piston, belt, or electrical wire. By midday, the water inside the 55-gallon drum has reached a temperature of nearly 140 degrees Fahrenheit, acting as a powerful thermal battery that drives the evaporation of any low-quality water placed in the shallow perimeter pans. You can fill these pans with murky ditch water, salty well water, or even gray water from your kitchen sink. The solar heat purifies it completely through distillation, leaving behind heavy minerals, salts, and contaminants on the bottom of the pan, while sending only pure distilled H2O vapor up to the condensing surfaces. Implementing this system on a backyard homestead transforms your relationship with the local landscape from one of constant struggle to one of quiet abundance. Maintenance is an exercise in basic physical awareness rather than complex troubleshooting. Once every 2 weeks, you lift the western panel of the plastic canopy using 2 brass utility hinges screwed into the wood frame, exposing the interior. Armed with a stiff, bristled scrub brush and a bucket of clean water, you wipe down the shallow evaporation pans, sweeping away the white, crusty cake of calcium carbonate and alkali salts left behind by the distilled water. The work is physical and grounding. You can smell the sharp, metallic tang of the concentrated minerals as you scrape them into a bucket for disposal away from your garden beds. You check the tension of the greenhouse plastic, tightening a few roofing screws along the lath strips to ensure the wind cannot catch the material and tear it during a sudden summer dust storm. This structure is a physical declaration of self-reliance, a monument to the idea that a family can thrive on a patch of land without being tied to a grid or a corporate utility line. When you look at the buried 5-gallon storage bucket, lifting the heavy rubber lid to see 4 gallons of crystal clear, cool water sitting inside, you are looking at true security. It is water harvested by your own hands, using an understanding of natural law rather than a checkbook. It provides the essential moisture needed to keep a small flock of laying hens healthy or to irrigate a deep bed garden filled with heirloom tomatoes and crisp flint corn. This water does not carry the chemical taste of chlorine or the heavy burden of monthly utility bills. It is pure, sweet, and entirely free. True independence is built out of these small, tangible victories over convenience. It is found in the weight of the concrete blocks you stack, the smell of the pine sawdust as you cut your frame, and the steady, rhythmic drip of water hitting a PVC gutter in the dark before dawn. By taking control of your own resource production, you step out of the fragile cycle of consumer dependency and into a life governed by the predictable, honest laws of the earth. The desert water pyramid is more than just a survival tool. It is a blueprint for a sovereign existence, proving that, with a little physical effort and some basic physics, the harshest environment can become a place of sustainable abundance.